Is AI a tool or a medium? A tool is something which we use to produce an outcome that we expect, right? But a medium is a very different thing. And the consequence of using a tool or a medium can be very different. Let's explore this a little bit further. Within universities and schools, the greatest challenge presented to professors is the question on whether a piece of work from a student is produced by generative AI and how to mark such works. In the industry, however, AI is adopted for performance, productivity. And manual works are being replaced by AI as an automation. And we've even witnessed that in fields originally requiring creativity, AI is beginning to replace particular workers. And the difference between the workforce and the university environment, academia, is that the workforce prioritizes productivity. And the university prioritizes the process. One focus on performance, productivity, the other focus on the training and cultivation of the minds of students. And it seems to some students that AI can be used as a tool to quickly produce some things, an essay, a picture, a piece of code, without the need for effort or the use of the thinking process. But in using AI, in reading the outputs, in interpreting the results, and in making a decision to use the AI output as your work, your mind has already been changed. You have consumed the output of AI. So should we stop students from using AI? The answer is no, for this very reason. Because of the proliferation of AI in the workflows of the industry, when our students graduate from university, they will begin to discover that the world they were in is different from their previous generation, and that AI will be used in most processes. As such, we cannot deprive students from using AI. It would be very wrong to stop them from using the best tools created by humankind. We cannot deprive them of the tools of the future. And yet the greatest problem with AI is not that they will replace jobs. It is that they are mediums from which, when used, could change the minds of entire societies. Both workers and students and consumers of generative AI, they will be drawn into this spiral of eating the vomits of AI models created by people we may not trust. So we've seen how capitalists have shaped the use of AI in our age. We have seen how CEOs have strategized on the use of AI for productivity, for boosting performance. We've seen how big techs are integrating their very own versions of AI models in their operating systems, in software to be used by billions. And everybody's talking about performance and productivity and cost saving, but no one is talking about how AI will potentially shape our minds, our perception, and our reality. So I'm not here to talk about how useful AI is. I'm here to talk about how AI can potentially change our mind, consequently, entire societies. So the important question to ask is AI a medium? But what kind of medium is it? When we talk about the medium, as in the yellow circle here, the medium containing some sort of message which you put in. When we talk about medium, we want to ask this question: what can this medium encode? And how will those who are reading the medium, the output of the medium, decode them? How will they change them? We can use an example, smoke. I think any kind of things can be a medium, including smoke used by the Cherokee Indians to send some signals. But smoke as a medium has a very limited capacity. It cannot encode philosophy, for example. Neither can water because of its fluidity. But cuneiform scripts created 5,000 years ago, they can encode philosophy, mathematics, logic, and even jokes. And the technologies we create today, they can encode more and more. AI can encode a lot of things: language, culture, knowledge. Because culture is embedded in our languages, when large language models are used to produce things for us, they can output certain things which are particularly cultural. AI can also embed a discourse and even a political bias. The media theorist Marshall McLuhan coined the term, "the medium is the message." What does this mean? He's saying that the medium which encodes the message is much more important than the message itself. The medium carrying the message will shape the content of this message to a certain extent so that when it's decoded, the message is already changed. For example, when you listen to the radio can give you this narrative, right? But the listeners need to have this mental capacity to listen to the entire narrative to capture the gist of that message. Text is very different because text is recorded, and you can read it over and over, and you can rationalize the text, you can make logical conclusions. Digital photography allows us to be much bolder in our taking of photos. It can enhance even our reality. Any photos taken as compared to what we have seen can be very different. So this use of message changes the message, and therefore, it changes us. Neil Postman was McLuhan's student, and he extended this message. The medium is the metaphor. He extended the medium is the message to the medium as the metaphor. What does this mean? A metaphor implies, it prioritizes. A metaphor prioritizes particular part of your message whilst blurring the other aspects. For example, Winston Churchill was the British Prime Minister. He brought the entire nation forward in the Second World War. He was an inspirational leader. He was a prolific writer. He was a powerful orator. And through the radio as a medium, his speech was enhanced manyfold. Churchill used emotive language. He used powerful metaphors through the radio as a medium, and the medium helped him in his speech. Fast forward 8 decades to today. Churchill's message would not have made a difference because TV sensationalizes not the speech, but the image of the person. Churchill didn't look very good because of his habits and his health. But radio obscures all these things and enhances his speech. But TV would have made a difference because TV as a medium prioritizes different things. So it doesn't matter how you looked previously, but it does matter how you look today. Does AI prioritizes things that we don't know? Is a question I have. A medium changes the message. Generative AI, I believe, is a very different medium because generative AI can encode language and cultures. It can change things, probably for the worst. Let's use some diagram to explain this further. A interacting with B produces something. And so what is this question mark that we have? What does AI produce when we give an input? And through the medium as B, what does it output? We'll look at another diagram. We are taught in school to see that if A interacts with B, it produces a C, right? Let's say B is watercolor paper. And on the other hand, A is the water and the color. If we put water and color on water paper, it will produce, expectedly, a watercolor painting. This is what is expected in our world. So my question is, does AI as a medium enhance your message, or does it produce something different? Does it prioritize its own thinking? We have machines now that thinks. What does AI prioritize? What has been your experience using AI, especially generative AI? A good medium helps enhance your message. Am I right? It enhances the message so that your message can be decoded and read as it is, and even better. But what does AI produce? Does AI produce something which is not our own, but making us think that it is our own? So here we are at an age where our tools does not produce an outcome which we expect. We have to think about these things. Since AI is a medium, in my argument, it changes the message. Our tools has its own thinking. And it produces things which are possibly beyond our control. And in reading these outputs, from students to workers to consumers of generative AI, in reading AI outputs, we may begin to think that these outputs are actually what we want. However, the output makes us believe that our input is producing something which is what we want, what we have expected. AI can potentially bend our minds in this way. So AI is a medium. What gets worse is we are losing control. W.J.T. Mitchell talks about a technological future where our machines have become biocybernetics. Let me explain this word further. Cybernetics means control and communication. But biocybernetics, according to Mitchell, he's saying that our machines, the things that we create, the technologies that we create, they are at the same time machinic, but also biological. Think about the computer virus. Think about memes. Think about a generation that uses AI and abuses AI. Mitchell tells us that our technology eludes control and refuses to communicate. I'm also an artist, so I've used AI, built some 3D models to create what I want, some bees, a bee on a flower. But when I feed this into the AI model, it gives me sometimes a bee on a flower, and sometimes the flower becomes a bee. This was exhibited at the Shanghai International Art Fair just last month as a new concept of art. What do we have here? Was I'm interested to produce a bee and a flower, this is what AI has given me. So, listen, there is a ratio between control and creativity. We want our tools to be controllable. But generative AI has a creative aspect. If you want more control, there will be less creative aspect to play with. If you want more creativity, you're losing control. Here I have 0.1 giving AI almost the full control, while 0.9 tells us that I will have more control. There's this ratio that we have to play with in our use of generative AI. I am also creating some better versions of myself. So I've used my photos to train some models I've downloaded from the internet, right? And the AI model produces a handsome man. Of course. But that is not me. So I was thinking, how can I make this person more myself as an ethnic Chinese? So I added the keyword Chinese. What was my expectation when I saw this? This was hilarious, but equally offending. Who are the ones who produces this model, which I've downloaded from the internet? Who are the ones who label these images? Take a look at another set of images. I was prompting the model to produce Chinese mothers being worried about their children's future. Are these acceptable to you? Who are the ones who label these images? Was that a stereotyping? My point is, AI, generative AI, is a discourse. You can embed a discourse in some models which produces an outcome. Whoever holds the power to create the AI models have a say in what that discourse is. AI models can embed so many things as our new generation medium. Imagine a future where everybody uses some sort of models that are in your apps and operating systems. Wouldn't the use of these models and in reading the output change your mind and your perception towards particular text? Wouldn't it be dangerous if these models hold particular political bias? And the changes that will occur into the future will be very subtle and a degenerative process. How do we tame our machine? I don't think we can tame this beast that we have created. We need something much more, right? We need to negotiate with AI as to what sort of outputs we want. So Marshall McLuhan is not wrong when he says that we shape our tools, and in turn, our tools will shape us. So there seems to be no way of eluding AI. What should we do? I think we need better education. We need to be much more adaptable to our technological future. We need strong intuition. We need much better, stronger awareness of what we're doing in using AI. We need critical thinking. These are all the skills that we teach our students. We need an interdisciplinary mindset. I think that the future, there may be two populations, the 20% and the 80%. The 20% are those who learn and excel and they study hard, they study wisely, they have critical thinking, they have an interdisciplinary mindset, and they are also the ones who use AI. But on the other hand, there could be a population that is mediocre, that is just purely using AI without thinking. And I think that the power law will separate these two even more. As the rich will get richer and the poor gets poorer, so those who are excellent with the use of AI, they will become much more excellent. Most people have no computing power to create models, so we have to use models created by others. That's a simple fact. But in using these models, we have to have this awareness, this critical thinking, right? We need to train our students differently. We also need to better educate ourselves. Finally, the breadth and depth of our education and training needs to grow together with our use of AI. Thank you.